One more time for your PC dance team.
For water, fire, or mold damage, call Rhode Island Restoration, 401-414-1111. Rhode Island's top choice for property damage cleanup and repair. Emergency service available 24/7.
Well, Friars extending lead a little bit here in the second half. John shooting 10 for 22 from the floor. 4 for 9, though, from three-point range. 4 for 5 from the foul line. Out-rebounding the Blue Demons, 35-27. 10 of those have been offensive rebounds. The only bugaboo for the Friars, though, just 10 for 17, though, from the foul line. 2 of those with front ends of 1-1. The lead could be a lot better than it is right now. But Friars only have 7 turnovers and no turnovers here in the second half so far. DePaul's doing a good job of taking care of the ball as well. They just have 5 turnovers in the ball game. DePaul just shooting 18 for 47 for the ball game, 38%, and 7 for 18 here in the second half at 38%, 1 for 4 from 3. Friars defense, Galway Duval's having some good minutes out there. He's played 11 minutes in the ball game. He's 1 for 2, but doing a good job defensively. Got a couple of assists in the game.
So Friars' largest lead is 14 here with 7.5 to play. Castro's going to go back out on the floor.
We're going to try to get as many minutes out of Castro and Barron and Duval right now, while Carter and Odoro is sitting on the bench with 7.5 minutes to go here in the second half.
Henley will inbound it to Jalen Terry, who's re-entered the game for the Blue Demons. Terry will bring it up against Jaden Pierre. High post for Etienne. Mac Etienne now shares it, driving right. Moving in is Elijah Fisher, goes up and under, tries to go for the right-hand jump shot and scores over Barron.
The Friars aren't doubling down there. They're making him play him straight up, and Fisher has a size advantage against Barron.
That's 11 for Elijah Fisher in the game. 12-point game here. Duval has it left, drives right on Chico Carter, cuts back to the left, out front now for Pierre. Pierre crosses over, drives the lane, dumps off Castro, and he flushes it.
What a pass by Pierre. He drew 3 defenders and no touch pass over to Castro. Had nobody around him. Easy one to dunk home.
First field goal of the game for Castro. Friars back up 14. Etienne high post again. 64-50 the score. Pass comes top of the key to Henley. Goes back left for Fisher. Fisher gets cut off by Barron. May want to try to get into the lane. Looks to post him up. Gets into the lane. Jump hook up around the rim, and it rolls in.
Well, they're just attacking Barron on the offensive end there, making him play defense.
Yeah, he's got to learn how to do it. You're right, Joe. That's exactly what DePaul is doing every trip up the floor, is they are going right at Rich Barron. And the lead is back to 12. Left wing. Ball. Nice crossover move.
Oh.
He feeds Castro in and out of his hands, and it got knocked out of bounds by DePaul.
What a pass by Duval. He hit Castro in the chest. He wasn't expecting.
Wasn't expecting the ball.
If all he had to do was catch that one and had a dunk.
Have an official timeout on the floor. 6:12 to go. Friar lead is 12 from Learfield. This is Providence Friar basketball.
How about he broke him down, boom, in the chest. I mean, the pass had a little bit too much steam on it to begin with. I mean, I think Odoro would have caught it or somebody else, but not Castro.
No, he can't. He can barely catch a lob. He can barely catch a lob.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Fans, it's now time for the Guess the Smile trivia questions presented by Delta Dental Rhode Island. Today's contestant is Charles, and he will have to choose the correct player on the video board using only their baby picture. Turn your attention to the screen and let's play along. All right, he's got an answer for us.
Josh.
Going with Josh Odoro. Is he right? And he's right. Give it up for him, Friar Town. My man Charles will be going home with the Friar Prize back. Nice job, buddy. And I told you we'd be back. We just wanted to ice our butter for a second. Let's everybody welcome Tristan to the floor, the head coach of women's club basketball at PC, who's going to be trying to sink a full-court shot to win a 1-carat diamond from Hanoush Jewelers. All right, Friar Town, let's get nice and quiet so Tristan can sink this puck. Come back.
We keep losing the internet feed again.
We're still going to be going home with a $200 gift card from Hanoush Jewelers. Once again,
SeatGeek is now the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the Providence Friars, and whether you're buying or selling basketball tickets, SeatGeek is the place to do it. SeatGeek, so Friar fans can fan.
Well, Josh Oduro and Devin Carter have checked back into the ball game here to finish out this last 6 minutes and 12 seconds. Friars up 12. We can get something going here on the offensive end, put this DePaul team away. DePaul's battled pretty tough in this ball game. Friars let them hanging around.
Yeah, DePaul started the second half 5 for 15 from the floor. A little renewed effort by the Friars, perhaps on the defensive end, and since then they've hit 4 of 5. So you've got your starters back in the game.
And DePaul's done a good job of taking care of the basketball in this game, John. They only have 5 turnovers in the ball game, which probably that's their low total for the year, I'm sure. And they're throwing the extra pass. Friars played pretty good defense. I mean, the Friars defense has been top defense most of the year. And this DePaul team's been able to take care of the ball and get some good looks at the basket.
Friars will inbound, 17 to shoot. Devin Carter will inbound it, baseline from the left of the basket. Lobs it out to Oduro. Josh Oduro with 3 fouls. Devin Carter with 3 fouls. Pierre comes off the screen, slides to the left, gives it to Oduro, who drives and scores.
Nice setup coming out of that timeout there. And Oduro, nice and fresh. He's been sitting there for a few minutes, hitting the break.
That's 27 now for Josh Oduro in this game. My goodness, 125 points he scored in the last 4 games for the Friars. Now 5 games. Top of the key, Etienne.
Look at Oduro. He's in the paint. Doesn't even guard him out there.
Drives to the left. Passes back the free throw line. Henley puts up a tough jump shot off the back iron. It drops in. He's got 8.5, 12 for the game for Jaden Henley. And DePaul keeps hanging around, 66-54. They've hit 5 of 6 from the floor here. Friars have hit their last 3. Here's Duval, left side. Now goes cross corner, right side. Carter scoots to the left. Fires
nice.
Pierre for 3. Bang!
The extra pass right there. Good job by Carter. He pump fake twice and gets Pierre for a better shot, knocks down the 3. Pierre's hit his last 3 threes.
All here in the second half, 9 points total. Top of the key, Chico Carter going to pull it out between the circles. Devin's right there to follow me. Drives to the right, gets cut off by 2 defenders. Loses the ball, picked up by Duval. Long pass up the floor for Orr. Gaines, who scoops it to the hoop and left it short and missed the layup. Chico Carter back the other way. Now gives it up to Henley on the left wing. Out front, Terry, deep 3. No, and the rebound tipped out of bounds. It's going to go to DePaul.
I think he's changing that. O'Connell overruled it and gave it to Providence.
He did. Friars will get the ball back. 4:44 left. Deshaun Nelson checks back in for the Blue Demons. Mac at the end will go to the bench. And as you said earlier, he's had a pretty good ball game for the UCLA transfer.
He has. I mean, he's been a presence in there.
69-54. Friars with the ball and the lead as Duval, left hand into the forecourt at the top of the key.
A zone now by DePaul.
Yep. We've seen this once late in the first half.
And they morph into a man-to-man.
At Duval, drives right around Henley, goes up with a runner, can't get it, gets his own rebound. He fakes, goes left off the glass, and it's in and out. Can't get it to stick.
2 good moves, too, by Galway. Just couldn't get it to go down. But he's playing better ball right now.
Up the left sideline, Chico Carter makes it all the way to the baseline on Pierre, who knocks it out of bounds, out of his hands on that baseline. Blue Demons will keep it with 21 to shoot.
Young fan sitting along courtside there, stepped up and slapped Jaden Pierre 5 on that move.
Looking for the inbounds inside for Nelson, who can't get it to go, gets his own rebound, got it blocked, but he got fouled underneath before the block shot by Oduro.
Pierre picks up his fourth foul.
Yep, Jaden picks up his 4th foul with 4:11 on the clock.
Friars went to sleep there on the out-of-bounds play. They're just standing around watching a little bounce pass underneath the basket. Nelson gets the ball.
9 offensive rebounds for the Blue Demons. Deshaun Nelson now will shoot 2 shots at the line. The first shot for Nelson is good. That's his first point of the second half and just his 3rd point of the game. The second leading scorer on this DePaul team at 10.5 per game as Pierre comes out with those 4 fouls.
He said 3 threes there in the second half, too, that broke this game open a little bit.
Second shot for Nelson here is in and out. Carter with a rebound. Friars have 8 team fouls. 4:06 to go. The lead is 14. Biggest lead has been 15. Carter fakes the deep 3, drives, kicks it out. Duval, wide open 3. Nope. And a rebound loose, picked up by Corey Floyd. Flies out of there, picked up in the right corner by Carter. Carter now finds Oduro outside the foul line, saves it out to Duval. DePaul uses a high screen, rolls to the right, gets to the right elbow. Carter gets off a three, right wing, rattles in and out. Corey Floyd with a high tip and score.
Corey Floyd looked like he was suspended in the air right there. He's hanging around waiting for the ball to pop out, and then he tips it in.
That's Floyd's first basket of the game. Carter slips to the floor, saves it to Nelson, tries to cross-step in there, and a blocking foul is called under the basket. That was a travel. And yet they're going to call a blocking foul on the Friars. And I think Kim English has got his hands to his head on that call.
Foul 1-1, too. He's not calling the foul on 11.
There is no
1-1. He said, okay, he's going to 1-1.
So the foul is called on whom?
I think it's on Oduro.
If it's on Josh, that's his fourth foul. 3:24 to go. We'll take the timeout. Friars by 16 from Learfield. This is Providence Friar basketball.
Well, I think he blew his whistle. I saw him do the block motion, but I don't think the whistle went off.
So it is on Oduro, and that's 4. Nine fouls, so a 1-1 here.
Kid's got my shirt on. That was my uniform because it had a tag on the bottom with my name on it.
Nice.
How'd I fit in that? That kid's a little kid.
Military members.
That must have been skinny.
Nominate a family member or friend to win 4 tickets to the PC Villanova game here at the Amp on March the 2nd. Fans, we can't wait to see you back here at the Amp. The Friars back in action here on Saturday, March the 2nd against Villanova. It is a noontime tip here.
John and Joe back inside the Amp. 3:24 to go. Friar lead is 16. It's their largest of the game. DePaul getting ready to go shoot 1-1 at the foul line.
Well, good thing because they have that lead with 3:24 to go because both Pierre and Oduro have 4 fouls. And they're going to have to sit here for a while, well, for at least a couple of minutes. And Friars have a big lead in here so they can milk it a little bit better. But the foul trouble has really bothered the Friars here in the second half. Look at the foul. Personal fouls on the DePaul's been 18 personal fouls, 19 on the Friars. The Friars have Oduro with 4, Gaines with 3, Pierre with 4, and Carter with 3.
Friars have 10 made threes in this game, 11 total, in 30 attempts. But it's the 9th time this year that they've made at least 10 in a ball game. And when they get 10 or more in a game, this team has won 42 of its last 52 games.
Well, they're taking a lot of the first 14 shots of the game for the Friars were all 3-pointers. Well, this is an ugly game. I mean, neither team got into a rhythm, and that's, DePaul's not going to get into a rhythm anyway, but the Friars just weren't able to take control of this one rhythm-wise.
Nelson hits the front end of the 1-1 on the 9th Friar team foul.
But Jaden Pierre hit some big threes here. He didn't score in the first half, but he had 3 threes here in the second half where the Friars got that double-digit lead.
Second shot for Nelson is on the way, and he gets it. 5 for Nelson. Makes it 71-57. Odin back in, replacing Jeremiah.
Here comes the full-court press right now.
Yep. They're going to guard away from the ball. Corey Floyd will inbound it.
Surprised we didn't see this sooner.
The inbound comes to Castro, who dumps it right back to Floyd. Now shares it with Duval. Duval trying to dribble out of a double team. Long pass to Castro into the forecourt. Left side for Carter, who attacks down low, but backs it out front for Duval. Now gives it back out to Carter, who circles back out to the center. 13 to shoot. Back left for Garway. Duval now moves to the right. Goes between the legs, finds Carter, starts to the left, steps back, deep 3, pays.
Man, how good is Carter? I mean, it's just ridiculous what he does out there on the floor. He makes the game look easy.
12 in the half for Devin Carter, and Carter now has 26 in the ball game. Right side for Henley. Between the circles, Odin goes left for Terry, and there's a steal by Canes. Took it away from him. Ticket leaves it for Carter on the left wing in front of his bench. He spins, and he jams it. Oh, my. He turned on Terry and spun on the baseline and then went home.
Terry thought he was going to pass it and looked away, and Carter just went back and slammed it home.
And it's 76-57, 2:24 to go. Odin gets off a deep three. No good. And again, Devin Carter with a rebound. Carter with 28 points. And 13 rebounds in this game.
Just a normal game for Devin Carter. He's been terrific.
Carter to Floyd, back to Carter, drives to the right, goes right down the lane, loses the ball, picks it back up. He's going to fire off another three. Holy moly.
He's out there laughing right now. He says, this is a walk in the park.
Carter has just tied his career high with 31. Scoop to the hoop by Henley, and the right side ball gets knocked out of bounds under the basket. And the Blue Demons will keep it with 1:51 left. An 8-0 Friar run to close this out in grand fashion. And Barron comes into the game to replace Devin Carter, who has matched his career high with 31 points and has 13 rebounds.
He just took himself out of the game. He says, I'm beat. He just came out of the game. He said, I got to come out. You know, this score won't indicate the game, though. I mean,
no.
It was a grind here. It was like getting your tooth pulled out here, but Friars are up 22.
Odin gets the inbounds pass, top of the key, now shares it with Nelson. Nelson hands off there for Keandre Young, who checked it into the game, and then a whistle is called and a foul on Duval.
Duval trying to get the steal right there for breakaway dunk.
That's 10 team fouls. 3 on Duval with 1:46 left. And we'll put DePaul at the foul line. They're going to put Keandre Young there to shoot 2. 6'9" junior, transfer from Triton College. Started his career at Valparaiso.
Well, that's the norm now. Where did you start your career?
He misses the first one.
Might get a
Ice the shooter.
Ice the shooter time. Dunkin' Donuts.
We've had 5 of those won already this year. On the season, Young 5 of 8, but he misses the second one. Makes the second one. Wishful thinking.
Yes.
His first point of the game, 79-58, full court pressure. Running the baseline, inbounds comes to Castro, fouled immediately by Elijah Fisher. I think they had 1 to give, didn't they? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's now 7. That's right. So we'll put Rafael Castro at the free throw line, who's 1 for 3 tonight.
Well, if you're DePaul, that's the guy you want on the line. You know, when you take the ball out of bounds, you just have to try, you got to forget about the score. Keep executing the way you want to play the game all the time. You want to find your best free throw to put in to get the ball to.
You want to tell us what he said?
Deep breath, 2 dribbles.
Right. And there's his
Come
free
on,
throw.
get in there.
Got it. See, Kim's not giving you a fist right there because of your coaching on Rafael Castro at the foul line.
We can't take credit unless he makes 2 in a row.
All right, there's 1 dribble, 2 dribbles. Shot on the way. Bounces,
Gets them
stays. Got them both.
Crunch time.
Uh-oh, Coach has it. They may have to recruit you now.
Yeah, well, it's easy to shoot when you're up 20.
Here's a Fisher. Driving to the right. Double teamed on the basket. Loses it on the floor. Gets it out of trouble for Nelson. Now swings it over to Henley. He's going to pull up a 28-footer and bury it. Jaden Henley gets the 3.
We're calling
A foul is called on the floor on Castro. So that was while the shot was in the air.
Castro trying to box out right there against Nelson.
3rd foul on Castro. And now Nelson will go to the line to shoot 2. Friars in the double bonus, or at least DePaul, with 10 fouls. So Deshaun Nelson will go to the line. Could be a 5-point play. Hits the first one. That's 4 unanswered. Makes it 81-62. The game is over, but nevertheless, you don't see too many 5-point plays.
You don't. You need to change that rule. Somebody makes a shot, you should just get 1 free throw.
Second shot by Nelson is good, and there's 5 points scored unanswered by DePaul. 81-63. Looking for the inbounds. Ball gets tipped out of bounds into the sideline.
It's out of bounds. DePaul ball. Corey Floyd threw it out of bounds, trying to get it over to Barron.
My goodness. What is going on here, guys? Somebody get the grips here. DePaul gets the ball back with 1:29 to go. Taking your starters out of the game and everything flies off. Driving down the lane, trying to go up with it over his head, off the glass and in. Elijah Fisher gets the deuce to go, and it's 81-65, 1:18 to go. Looking for the inbounds against pressure. They find Barron. Barron dribbles out of trouble, waits for some help in the backcourt, lobs it back to Dual, and Dual spins into a double team, jump pass to Floyd. Floyd has it with 3 blue shirts around him. Barron wide open for 3, short.
You can't take that shot. Coach Ing's not going to be happy with that, I'll tell you that.
We're under a minute to go, but DePaul is going to make this a heck of a lot more respectable than it was, and a 3 is good from the right corner for Keandre Young. 14% from 3 on the season. He nails a 3. This is a 13-point game. 52 seconds left. That's 8 unanswered points, and the inbounds comes. Timeout called by Kim English here with 52.5 left because these guys are clueless out there right now. Absolutely clueless.
Well, these guys have played a lot of minutes, so they're just waiting for DePaul to go away. But
DePaul's not doing that.
Barron can't take that shot. He's got to wait and take some more time off the clock that he's getting talking to right now by Kim English. Said, come on. That's not a freshman mistake. You're not a freshman anymore. You're playing a lot of quality minutes. You have to know the game and situation here. And you got 2 freshmen on the floor here, Galway Dual and Barron here at the end of the game. Dual's had a good ball game, but Barron's got to be smarter than that at the end of the game. You have to finish out the game playing like it's a close game. That's how you learn.
It's a 10-0 run here for the Blue Demons over the last 40 seconds on the clock. There's a 23-point lead, the largest of the game for the Friars at 81-58, and they've scored 10 unanswered.
In normal situations, you wouldn't keep Castro in the ball game, but you want to leave him in here right now. He just made 2 free throws. Maybe get him some confidence. You might have to play him at some point, but you got Pierre in the game now, who's a good foul shooter. Oduro is your best foul shooter, and he's on the bench, but you got all guards in there basically, and Castro.
Floyd will inbound it, does so to Pierre in the backcourt. Jaden's going to bring the ball into the forecourt now because that's why they brought him back into the game with 4 fouls.
He just feels so much more comfortable with Jaden with the ball.
Dual now has it on the left side. DePaul's not out to try to trap or anything here. So Dual is going to stay right in the middle of the floor, just outside the midcourt circle. Now penetrates with 10, with 9, bounces left from Pierre, drives around, kicks the ball out to Garway. An open look at 3, off the rim, it won't stick, and the rebound for Young. Young up the floor, he'll find Fisher. Fisher up the left sideline to Nelson, drives the lane, lays it up, scores. Yeah, got away with a walk. The official's not going to call it here with 16 seconds left. Makes it 81-70. 12 unanswered points for the Blue Demons to end the game. And Kim goes right to meet Matt Brady at mid-floor, and the Friars will not take it to the basket, and this is over. 81-70, the final score.
Kim English is not happy with the way the game ended.
No.
You're up 22, and you just melt down at the end there, made foolish mistakes, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to get those bad habits, and I'm sure those guys will get a tongue lashing when they get back in that locker room.
And they probably should. This is a game that, you're supposed to win, but the problem is that so much is decided by metrics these days in college basketball. This is not going to help the metrics against a team that's 320 in the net.
Yeah, well, a win's a win. It was an ugly game anyway, but the Friars get out of it, and unfortunately, you won't have any more games like this.
17-9, the Friars are on the season with the win over the DePaul Blue Demons, and they move to 8-7 in Big East play.
5th place.
DePaul now has lost 13 straight, and they dropped to 3-22, 0-14 in Big East play. Our Santander postgame show is coming up next from Learfield. This is Providence Friar basketball.
15 for Elijah Fisher, 15 points for Jaden Henley. Friars also with 2 players in double figure scoring, 27 points tonight for Josh Oduro, and the Friars led by Devin Carter, a double-double, 31 points and 13 rebounds. We thank you for attending tonight's game. Don't miss the next matchup here at the AMP. Friars are back in action Saturday, March 2nd against Villanova. We'll tip it off here at the AMP at noon. Can't wait to see you here on March the 2nd. Drive home safely and go Friars.
Who do you want to use? You want to use Carter?
Yeah, Carter was terrific.
I think Carter for the player of the game there, Andrew.
13 rebounds and 31 points.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I would say certainly one with what might amount to their C game. Oh.
Missed out.
Yeah, I'd leave it off.
Yeah, you can have some of these. Cole, have these.
Yeah. Yeah, Josh Oduro and Devin Carter, pretty good 1-2 punch in this one tonight. They combined for 58 of the 81 points that the Friars scored tonight in an 81-70 win over the DePaul Blue Demons here at the Amica Mutual Pavilion. Boy, I've had a hard time talking tonight.
You sound like the game.
I know, right?
You know, the game was just like blah, 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 and that's what you sound
Kind of
like.
what happened out there on the floor. Pavilion.
Pavilion, yeah, Pavilion.
John and Joe back here at the Amp. Let's just call it that. And really, it's hard to say it was a great game. It was a kind of a back and forth game. The Friars did seem like they were, for much of the game, kind of playing with a C effort out there on the floor. And then, of course, they have a 23-point lead late in the last minute and 40 seconds, and then allowed DePaul to score the last 12 points of the game to make the final respectable.
Yeah, sometimes when you play against a team, John, I've been there, you're supposed to win, and they haven't won a game in years, it feels like, and you just feel like you can come out and go through the motions and win the game, and you can turn it on when you want to, and that's the tough thing for a coach to tell you, you can't do that, but, you play so many tough games in this conference. Every single night is a battle. Then you have a team like DePaul who just, can't beat anybody, and you feel like it's a night off for you, so you don't have to grind out as much as you normally do, and that's what happened in this one. But, fortunately, Oduro and Carter didn't feel that way. They showed up and got it done on the offensive end, but the Friars turned it up when they felt like they had to in the second half, and they built that 22-point lead. But I know Coach Ingles is not going to be happy the way they finished this ball game for sure. I mean, made some mistakes out there, and you don't want to do that. You want to make sure you continue to play the game the way it's supposed to be played. Teams want to foul you. You got to get the ball to your best free throw shooter. That's who you're looking for out of bounds, and the Friars were throwing the ball away. But Friars only had 8 turnovers. They only had 1 turnover in the second half, and they're throwing the ball in bounds. They got that turnover when Barron was there, but they took good care of the ball, but so did DePaul. They only had 8 turnovers. I
thought DePaul played a pretty smart game. In fact, Joe, since the Friars beat them 100-62 back a month ago tonight in Chicago, this is the closest DePaul has played anybody. They lost by 14 at Butler. Lost by, actually, I should say second closest. They lost by 13 to Marquette. They lost by 24 to Creighton. They lost by, 32 Seton Hall, 33 Seton Hall. Then it was Xavier that won by 35. Lost St. John's by, 28. And then lost to UConn this past week by 36 before losing by 11 tonight.
Well, the concentration level last time the Friars played DePaul, the Friars were coming off a 3-game losing streak, and they went to DePaul, and they just spanked them. They scored 100 points in the game, so their sense of urgency was there. The sense of urgency wasn't in this ball game. They came off a nice win against St. John's, but you have to keep winning in this conference. You got to somehow get to 11 wins, and Friars picked up their 8th win in this ball game, and it's a good win to get. Now they're in 5th place all alone in the conference. To consider all the injuries they've had and the lack of size that they've had to be at this point in the season, they should be very happy with. Now the tough part comes. There's not any easy games left. They need to battle out here. They got to go to Xavier the next ball game, a team they're battling for that 5th spot.
And a team that beat them here at home, so you don't want to really get swept here.
Beat them by 20 at home, and they played great, Xavier did. So this ball game here, it's a tough one to get through, but you get through it. That's as good as DePaul's going to play. They average giving up 80 points a game, which they gave up 81 in this one. Yep. But they only averaged 64 points as a team scoring. They scored 70 against a Friar team that's been good defensively all year long. So the Friars gave up too many points to a bad DePaul team.
The Friars only had as much as a 6-point lead in the first half and led by 4 at the break, 34-30. And then the Blue Demons then scored the first basket of the second half on Elijah Fisher 3, and they pulled within 1 early in the second half. Then the Friars ripped off 6 unanswered on a couple of threes to go back up 7, and they got the lead finally up to 10, double digits for the first time with 12:42 remaining after a Carter 3 put them up 52-42. That lead stayed between 8 and 10 and finally stretched out to 15 with 5:19 to go after a Jaden Pierre 3, and he hit 3 nice threes in the second half. And then you finally think, okay, all right, a little bit more on stride, right? That lead stretched out again to 22 and then to 23 with 1:45 to go. And then that last minute and 40, 12 unanswered to make it an 11-point game.
Yeah, it was a lousy finish, and I'm sure they'll listen to that today and tomorrow.
Woo! Don't you know it?
But Devin Carter, how about Devin Carter? 7 for 10 from 3-point range. But I thought the 3-pointers by Jaden Pierre in the second half, he went 3 for 3 in the second half,
right,
shooting those threes. And those were big at the time. Friars were just, having that 6-8-point lead. It's just DePaul was hanging around enough just to aggravate you. You don't want them to hang around. Then Pierre hit those threes and got it to double digits, and they never looked back from there.
Well, I tell you, Matt Brady now as the interim head coach is 0-7, but if they continue to play hard like this, they might beat somebody before this year is over, and they've still got 6 games to play.
Well, they got Georgetown again at home. I mean, that's the only game they have a chance to win. They won't beat anybody, but they have a chance maybe in that game. They lost to Georgetown by 3 at Georgetown, but
right,
I don't see them winning another game.
All right, 81-70 the final in this one. We'll continue with more of the Santander postgame show coming up in a moment from Learfield. This is Providence Friar basketball. What's that?
We're going to end up playing them again, by the way.
Yeah, if we end up as the 6th seed, we play these guys in New York in the first round.
Yeah, I know. It'd be great. Well, the 6th seed, we'd have to play them. And then we would play
the 3.
Yeah.
On Thursday night.
6th seed would not be bad.
Mm-mm. If you got to play on Wednesday, you want to be the 6th. Yeah.
Especially this year.
Yes. Because the 3rd place team is going to be either Creighton or Seton Hall.
Yeah, which would beat them both, too.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, but there's still 2 losses ahead of them.
Marquette's 10-4. Creighton won today.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, Creighton won. So Creighton's 10-5. Marquette's 10-4.
What's Creighton's schedule the rest of the way? Get it on the phone here.
I got it. It's going to be here. Creighton's schedule.
Creighton. I got it right here. Well, the internet here is terrible.
Okay, so Creighton has at Butler, UConn,
At home.
at St. John's, Seton Hall at home, Marquette, and then at Villanova. That's tough.
Yeah. They're playing good basketball right now, though, Creighton.
Yeah.
And Marquette was playing really good basketball until they ran into Connecticut.
They're going to
today.
lose a couple somewhere in there.
Who?
Creighton.
Yeah.
But that would still only be 7 losses.
That little point guard, though, is playing much. He's playing his best basketball right now.
Ashworth, yeah. Ashworth. Yeah.
He had a lot of big shots today, that kid. Ashworth made a bunch of threes. Yeah, Matt.
I got it. Right by me. I didn't see it come out.
Yeah, right there.
Yep. And that was the second of 3 that Jaden Pierre hit in the second half to kind of get off the schneid a little bit. Help the Friars get out to a 23-point lead before settling in with an 81-70 win over the DePaul Blue Demons here at the AMP tonight. John and Joe back here. We continue with our Santander postgame show. Friar assistant Matt Palumbo joined us here courtside. So what did you guys talk about a little bit at halftime? You're only up 34-30 in this one, and then they come out and hit the first 3 of the ball game. So what was the emphasis really? Was it on the offensive end or the defensive end?
Yeah, it was both. It was both, honestly. On the offensive end, we needed to get the ball inside more. We had taken 5 twos in the first half, and we made all 5. So for us, it was obvious that we were 6 for 18 from 3. We really need to pound that thing inside, get it to Josh, and make them pay for not having great paint protection. So that was definitely the big emphasis. And then on the defensive end, just going through our process every possession.
Well, you took your first 14 shots with threes. I mean, they were open looks, obviously, but as a coach, you come in, you play a DePaul team that's 0-13, and it's you got to keep telling the guys, listen, it's a Big East game. We got to get wins, and some guys it just goes in one ear and out the other. Sometimes, as you know, you've been there. I mean, it's a case where when you win in at halftime, but they only up 4, they had to get the message at that point.
Sure, yeah, no, and I think they did. I think they responded well, but it takes great maturity. It takes maturity to just treat it one possession at a time, and that's our emphasis. It's one possession, it's one play. You don't need to think about the big picture when you're out there playing. Just focus on what you're doing.
Well, in the second half, you only had 1 turnover, so 8 turnovers for the game. I think the last 3 or 4 games you had double digits in turnovers once, so you've done a good job of taking care of the ball. But I felt DePaul, that's probably the best game DePaul's played in a month. I mean, they only had 8 turnovers as well, and they ran their offense. They got the second shot opportunities, but they were looking like they had, hey, maybe we have a chance in this ball game. Trying to go for your first win, and I thought you guys stepped up in the second half defensively, and I thought Galway gave you some good minutes when Pierre picked up his 4th foul.
No doubt he does, and he really gets after the ball. He's a great defender. He's really long on the ball, so I thought he did a good job defensively for sure.
When you look at Josh Oduro and Carter, you know what you're going to get from those guys every game. You just need the other guys to step up. In the first half, they were the only 2 guys that really scored. So in the second half, you got more contributions for everybody. It looks like Coach Ingles was trying to run some things to get some other guys more involved offensively.
Absolutely. Jaden hit 3 big threes that kind of broke the game open there towards the end of the second half. So he contributed really well in terms of scoring. But, man, when Josh is as efficient as he is and Devin's as great as he is, you just got to get him to the ball and let him do what they do.
The end of the ball game, I know you guys aren't happy with that, the way that you got up 22, and you felt like you're just like, hey, maybe they're just going to go away, but they kept battling, and a couple mistakes out there that probably you'll get a lashing to in the locker room.
For sure. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Well, the thing about it is that you had, consider the 5 guys that you had on the floor, and you wanted them out there to get a little bit more experience. And they clearly, I know Kim called the timeout with less than a minute to go to make sure that everybody was kind of on the right page here with what to do, because it's one thing you knew you're going to win the game, but when you play poorly, it can create poor habits.
No doubt. No doubt. And in this day and age, every possession matters, with metrics and with efficiency and all that.
I
It's
said
very
that to
important.
Joe.
It's
Exactly.
really important. So
Yeah.
every possession.
All right. So now you guys, you got 5 games left. You got to go out on the road and you got to beat a team at their place that beat you by 20 and here at your home at Xavier on Wednesday night.
Yep.
That'll be a challenge.
No doubt about it. We know what it's going to be for sure. We're excited for it. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a physical game for sure.
Yeah, they came in here, shot the ball. Their backcourt's pretty good. They look to shoot that 3-pointer. Oliveri is a pretty good outside shooter, and the left-hand guard, McKnight, is good. But the kid off the bench, the freshman, he had a Super Bowl game against you guys, but I don't think he's had 23 points total in the last 5 games. They just had a night that night.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's averaging 5 to 6 points a game, and he had 22 or whatever he had in that game. So he definitely got hot. We got to make sure we control him.
Well, you're in a good position now, Coach. You're 8-7 in the league. You're in 5th place all by yourselves, and you guys have been playing great basketball, playing good defense, and now you got a big game coming up on Wednesday.
Absolutely. Meaningful basketball in February and March is what it's all about.
We'll take it.
All right.
Thanks, Matt.
Appreciate you guys.
All right. Matt Palumbo here, Friar assistant. Had the scout on the Blue Demons tonight as the Friars win at 81-70 here courtside. At the AMP. All right, let's take a quick look at the numbers, Joe. As DePaul, again, as we said, they lose their 13th straight. They fall to 3-22, 0-14 in the Big East. They do have 2 players in double figures. They had 15 points apiece from Jaden Henley and Elijah Fisher. Fisher, the Texas Tech transfer, had 19 against the Friars at home, so he's had 34 points in 2 games and been tough for the Friars to stop this year.
Yeah, I mean, those 2 guys have good size too, and they're young, and they made some good moves at the basket. 6 for 8, 6 for 6. I mean, Fisher didn't miss a shot. So,
nope.
I mean, that's something you can build on for next year.
He was 9 for 11 in that game last month. So against the Friars, he's 15 for 17 from the floor on the season.
Yeah, that's pretty good. You'll take that all the time.
Oh, no kidding. Fisher is 6'6". Jaden Henley is 6'7", and so they got some length to him there. Rest of the scoring, they had 9 points for Deshaun Nelson with 6 rebounds, 9 points, 8 rebounds for Jalen Terry. He scored all 9 of his points in the first half. They shut him out of the second half. 2 points for Churchill Abass, who had foul trouble early in the game. 8 points for Chico Carter, who played his first game in a month since he played the Friars in Chicago. He'd been out for 7 games with rib injuries. And then Mac Etienne with 5 points and 6 boards, 3 for Jeremiah Oden and 4 for Keandre Young. Blue Demons shot 25 of 57. That's 43% from the floor. They were 5 of 17 on threes for only 29% and 15 of 23 from the foul line. That's 65%. Friars won the rebounding battle, Joe, 42-32. So that was actually good to see because rebounds had been hard to come by of late, especially against St. John's on the offensive glass earlier this week.
Yeah, and they had 14 offensive rebounds the Friars did out there. So, get on the glass, and Devin Carter had 13 of those. So he's been terrific scoring the ball and rebounding the ball.
Just 8 DePaul turnovers. They took pretty good care of it. Friars got 10 points off of those turnovers. Friars only had 2 in double figures as well, but what a 2 it was. Devin Carter matched his career high with 31 points, also pulled down 13 rebounds in this game tonight. So for Devin Carter, I mean, that's, statistically one of the best games he's ever had. It's the 3rd time in his career he's hit 13 rebounds. But the double-double is his 9th of the season, his 10th of his career with the 31 and 13.
Well, he makes the game look easy out there, too. He finished up in the second half just draining threes. But, between he and Oduro, they were 20 for 26 from the floor. Those 2 guys,
nuts.
I mean, that's pretty efficient out there on the offensive end.
But they needed a little help, of course. 7 of 10 from 3 is phenomenal. Oduro, 27 points, 6 rebounds in this one. So Josh Oduro now, Joe, last 5 games has scored 125 points. I believe that's 25 a game, if my math is correct.
Yeah, he's been great, and he makes threes. The big guys have been backing off him in the paint. He pops out behind the three-point line. He was 2 for 3 from three-point range. And, he and Carter were 9 for 13 from three-point range. I mean, so both those guys are just terrific in this ball game.
All right, and then the Friars had 3 points, 4 boards for Rich Barron, 2 points, 5 rebounds for Ticket Gaines, who was just 1 for 8 shooting the ball, but he played with that Batman mask on all night, and I'm sure that did not help matters. Jaden Pierre had 9. All of it came in the second half, 3 of 6 from 3, 2 for Corey Floyd, 2 for Garway Duval, 5 for Rafael Castro. Friars shot 28 of 60. That is 47% shooting, 13 of 34 from three. That's 38%. The Friars now, Joe, when they can shoot 38%, when they get 9 or more in a ball game, they've won 43 of the last 53 games they have played. And when they get 10 or more, they're 8-1 this season.
Yeah, I mean, they look for the threes, as we mentioned. The first 14 shots of the ball game were 3-pointers. They didn't even take a 2-pointer. So, they got to make those shots. They take them a lot, and they're open. And, once you get a rhythm going, you can knock those down. But other people have to help, John. When you look at, Gaines was 1 for 8. Corey Floyd was 1 for 7, and Duval was 1 for 6. Those guys were 3 for 21 from the floor.
Yep.
Collectively, they need to pick it up on the offensive end for sure.
They also need to pick it up at the foul line. It seems like one game they're great, the next game they're bad. 12 of 19 from the foul line is just 63%.
Yeah, and a couple of front ends of 1-1. But, in this ball game, you didn't need them in the second half, obviously. But when the Friars shoot poorly from the foul line, they lose games. When they shoot well from the foul line, they have a chance to win.
Just 8 turnovers as well. We mentioned it, Joe, just 1 in the second half. DePaul got 10 points over those. They did have 15 assists on the 28 made baskets in front of 12,400. A sellout tonight here on a Saturday night inside the Amp. And the Friars get their 17th win of the season. Maybe more importantly, their 8th win in Big East play, moved to 8-7. And we'll talk more about the Big East setup coming up in a moment. 81-70, the final score. Our final timeout here. And we'll wrap up the Santander postgame show in a moment from Learfield. This is Providence Friar basketball.
Gaines, he looks like he's been put together with Band-Aids out there. I'm watching
kidding.
him tonight. He's got a mask on. He's got a pad on his butt. I mean, he's just getting thrown around all over the place.
Okay. Matt.
Thank you, sir.
Man, Barron, Gaines, Floyd, Duval, and Castro all had 1 field goal.
Yep. 5 players with 1 field goal each. And that's what he ends up with tonight. 31 points, tying his career high, 13 rebounds, tying his career high, his 9th double-double of the season. And I guess we have to give Devin Carter the player of the game, Joe. The Allie Warwick, outstanding performance of the game, Devin Carter.
And he took a jump shot in the game. I haven't seen him take a jump shot where he got up in the air and hung in the air, and then he got fouled. Remember he made that four-point play? Because normally he shoots that set shot, but he came off the screen like a jump shooter, got up in the air and hung and got fouled and made the shot. I mean, he's doing everything out there.
I mean, we should mention that this week, Devin was named as one of 30 players nationally to the Naismith Player of the Year midseason team, which means he's one of 30 players now in the running for the Naismith National Player of the Year. He was already on the Naismith defensive team nomination list.
Well, the amazing thing about Devin Carter, he plays both ends of the floor, and there's not many players who can score like he can and guard the best player on the opposition and shut him down. I mean, that's just amazing what he does. The amount of energy he has out there and what he does, and he rebounds the ball. I mean, he does everything. So, most times you have a great offensive player, they don't guard anybody, or a great defensive player, they can't score. But he does both, and he's just a terrific player.
All right, so you got this tremendous 1-2 punch here between Carter and Oduro, and I think what this team needs is a solid number 3 to complement them, and they struggled with that tonight. You already mentioned during the break, 5 different players only got 1 field goal apiece for the Friars tonight.
Yeah, and I think what happens, John, is the physical play out there. The Friars are on demand. There's no question about it, and totally undersized.
Yep.
You got Barron starting at that position where
basically playing at small forward.
Yeah, where
he's 6'5",
where Bryce Hopkins would be playing.
Yeah,
and he's playing that position, and he's a freshman. So you're banging up there all the time. It affects your shooting. And Gaines looks like he's put together right now with Band-Aids. I mean, the poor guy, he's got a mask on. He's wearing a pad on his butt because he's on the floor half the time.
He's got a Band-Aid on his eyebrow where he took stitches. I mean, yeah.
He looks like he's been in a barroom brawl out there. He's beat up. He looks like the Scarecrow in the Wizard of Oz. He's all over the place.
He's 6'7" and 190 pounds, wringing wet.
And he's playing power, and he's playing the power forward position. He was 1 for 8, but he plays so hard on the defensive end. He had 3 steals, and he's got a bang inside for rebounds, and that affects your offense. You don't talk about that, but it's like being in a fight, getting body blows the whole game, and then all of a sudden you got to make shots from 20 feet, and he's streaky sometimes, but he takes so much punishment in there, and that affects his offense. And Jaden Pierre runs the point the whole ball game. He can score more points. He's got to look at the basket. He only took 7 shots in the game, and 6 of those were threes, and he made 3 of them. But he needs to look to score a little bit more. I think he could be the third guy that can get the double figures.
Well, there are 2 other games in the Big East this afternoon. 17th-ranked Creighton was down at halftime at Butler, and then they roared back in the second half, and the Blue Jays won it 79-57 at Hinkle Fieldhouse. And then, of course, this afternoon as well, battle of top 5 teams in Hartford at the XL Center, and UConn crushed Marquette 81-53.
Yeah, I watched that Creighton game. I think about what we were there. That we were the first of a 3-game homestand for Butler, and we had that game and gave it away at the end there, and then didn't get that foul call when Corey Floyd went up for the dunk. But that could have been a 3-game losing streak because Butler's lost 2 in a row now at home. And Creighton, I watched the second half. They just came out and made every shot. They play great basketball. And UConn, John, UConn is just, they're a beast. They're too deep at every position.
They may not lose again.
They may not. I said that to Kevin Mack's show that I do once a week. I just feel like the only game they could lose is when they come in there and play Providence, because we're gonna find a way. But I just think that. What are you laughing at?
I love your optimism.
Yeah, but I just think they're just so tough to match up against. And they're just good. They have senior veteran leadership. They're big, and they're a tough team to beat.
Hey, if beating UConn means you got to sacrifice the next game you play at the Big East tournament, I'm not so sure that's a good thing. Well, that's what happened against Villanova. You know it, I know it, we all know it.
Oh, no question. They battle at UConn. They got the big guy Klingham out of the game in foul trouble. Then Spencer was 1 for 8 from the floor defensively. Friars did a great job. Pierre
they got him in foul trouble. Yeah, give him that.
Pierre denied the ball on Newton. He made him work hard, and those guys didn't have a good game shooting the ball, but they got to the foul line because it's 39-20, 39-19 in foul shots. So when you get beat up on the foul line like that, but I know we're rambling here about the other game, but I just think that UConn team is really good, and I think it wore the Friars out for the next game.
Hey, congratulations to the Brown Bears. They won on the road tonight at Penn in the Ivy League, 71-64. It's a good win for Mike Martin's team there. All right, let's take a quick look at the Big East standings because let's see, tomorrow. No, nothing tomorrow. Okay, so yeah, we do. Seton Hall plays at St. John's tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Villanova, of course, beat Georgetown on Friday. So right now, as of this moment, the Friars are all alone, as you said earlier, in 5th place at 8-7. That puts them a game and a half behind Seton Hall and Creighton, who are both 9-5. Marquette is 10-4, and of course, UConn is 14-1 at top. Now, tomorrow with Seton Hall and St. John's. Seton Hall is 9-5. St. John's is 6-8. So this is a desperation game for St. John's tomorrow. And then, of course, Villanova is 7-7, but the Friars would have a half-game lead over Xavier and Butler and potentially Villanova, going into next week's game at Xavier. And that's the next one up for the Friars on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. And it's going to mean everything for Providence because they already lost one to Xavier here. You don't want to get swept, and they can move ahead of you in the standings and hold, the advantage with a sweep over you.
Yeah, that's a big game for the Friars, no question about it, at Xavier. They can get that 9th win there, and you have some home games after that. But, it's a big, big game for St. John's tomorrow. I mean, they're 6-8. They need to win that game against Seton Hall, and if they don't, they're in big trouble.
Yeah, I would say so. So Seton Hall at St. John's tomorrow, Providence at Xavier on Wednesday. Could be a desperation game, as we said, for Xavier. They're 7-7 in league play, but overall in the season, they're just 13-12. So if Xavier wants to think about the postseason, forget about the NCAA tournament, which they definitely need for that. They got to finish above 500 to even have a shot at the NIT.
Oh yeah, Xavier's they got some work to do, and they've been off for a while now, and they play the Friars next, so that's a big game for Xavier too. But always big games in the big when everybody's jumbled up like they are trying to get the NCAA tournament. A lot of teams are on the bubble, so you have to win. This is the time you have to win.
By the way, just in case you were wondering why Ticket Gaines was wearing the mask tonight, broken nose. Along with the stitches in his eye and his lip, he had a broken nose. So that's why he wore the Batman mask tonight.
That happened to me too. I played with a broken nose. I hated that thing on. I just took it off and put tape on my nose, like that mattered. But I couldn't see the hoop, man. You got to be able to see the hoop.
And he was 1 for 8 tonight. I'm pretty sure he would agree with you.
Yeah, you got to take that off.
Yeah, well, hopefully he'll learn to play with it. But at any rate, it's Xavier in Cincinnati on Wednesday night. Joe and I will have the broadcast right here on News Talk 99.7 and AM 630, WPRO, beginning at 7:40 p.m. on Wednesday. We hope you'll join us for that one. It is a big one for the Friars and their postseason chances. Our thanks to studio producer Andrew Meehan, our engineer Matt Morrell, Austin Rook with our halftime report, and for my partner Joe Hassett, I'm John Rook. Again, our final score, Providence 81 and DePaul 70. The Friars are 17-9, 8-7 in the league, and they have what we call a burger biggie on Wednesday in Cincinnati. We'll have the broadcast for you at 7:40. Until then, so long, everybody. Thanks, Andrew. Yep.